What's going on, my fellow A-plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode. It is I, your more phenomenal host, Adam Perez, back once again with a brand new episode. Happy Toku Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to get into Mashin Sentai Kiramager episode number 42 for you guys today. Review and breakdown to really get into all the goodness that we wind up getting here in this week's episode as we're inching, guys. We're inching ever so closely to the season finale here, man. We've literally got 3 more episodes left, and I can tell you right now, this show has turned up the level. I mean, the intensity level has shot through the roof here just beginning in this episode, and for me, I feel like we're probably going to be on a huge roller coaster ride within the next 3 episodes. So you're telling me you're taking 4 episodes in total to wrap up this season? Beautiful. I just know the storytelling is going to be there. So I cannot wait, honestly. I cannot wait. You know I griped a little bit about how maybe one of the episodes that we had, I think it was episode maybe 40, just didn't quite hit me right. 41 was certainly an odd episode for sure. One that I enjoyed. I definitely took a lot out of it, but with the cat fetishes, if you will, right? Some people kind of perked up their ears like, really? Episode 40 and 41, what kind of direction are we going here towards the season finale? Kiramager, if you were worried about how Kiramager was certainly going to end, fear not, because I feel like it's definitely going to end on a fantastic note. And if episode 42 here was any indication as to how this season was going to round off, man, I'm ecstatic. So let's go ahead and talk about it, guys. Let's get into episode number 42. We also have a couple of live viewer questions that we'll tackle towards the end of this. And as always, listen, if you guys do have live viewer questions, you can always submit them over at any particular point in time to APlusMorePhenomenal@gmail.com. If you happen to submit any questions in that you want for Kiramager to be answered, I usually record these episode reviews, usually like Monday evening around 6 o'clock Central Time or so. So if you have a Kiramager question, if you happen to watch that episode before I start recording, feel free to go ahead and submit them over. But any point in time, feel free to submit your questions. We'll definitely tackle them regardless every Saturday at noon Central Time for our live episodes of A Plus More Phenomenal. So, guys, episode 42 did not disappoint at all. Talk about lifting up the intensity level in here. One of the scenes specifically that kind of just called out to me to just show you that the Kiramagers mean business. When we see Juru get back to the command center after the ordeal that he has to deal with over at the high school, when he gets back to the command center and everybody's aware that there's this dark fog that's just kind of coming across the city, if you will, and we see our team having to kind of formulate a plan and things like that, when you start seeing the gemstones, right, start kind of stepping up to the plate, start offering their help, talking highly about their counterpart here, and whether it be Juru or Sina or Seo, talking about working alongside them, and you get the musical score ready to go. You have them all standing around in formation and things like that. I love just seeing how together our Kiramagers were, understanding that the focus of all their problems comes down to Garza, one of their more formidable villains that they've had all season long, and realizing that they really need to kind of take care of business because this seems as though this is one of those monumental moments, if you will. I thought the cinematography, I thought the musical score attached to that scene just really brought some great intensity and really built it up to make us understand that this may be the Kiramager sort of last stand is really what the mindset was kind of going into this, and the idea that they're really about to face a more formidable foe than they even considered. And we definitely see how that turned out for our Kiramagers by the end of this particular episode. I mean, not only were they defeated handedly, mind you, but also King Orden, I'm about to say King Juru, King Orden himself winds up getting captured by Garza and taken back to Jotunheim, according to Garza, to be properly executed. So I mean, goodness, we're about to get an execution on Kiramager next week. We'll definitely have to see. But talk about just the intensity level and really just taking this episode from just a 1 to all the way up to a freaking 20 in a heartbeat, man. I absolutely loved all the intensity that they certainly brought here in this week's episode. This episode, honestly, is nothing without the fantastic sort of twist that we wind up getting towards the end. So when we actually open up this episode, we get the opportunity to see Juru in yet another dream state, if you will. We've seen Juru in this dream state several times throughout the season, most notably talking alongside King Oridan. This time, though, when we do in fact see Juru inside the king's throne room once again, he is in fact met with a young boy, a young Crystallian. Looks very much like either a young Mabushina, maybe a young King Oridan, whatever the case may be. And we clearly get to see that this kid is also an artist, also loves to draw, also believes in the idea of inspiration, right? Has this mindset that inspiration is going to save the world one day, if you will. So you already know that we've got Juru immediately sort of attached and connected to this young boy. And our first mindset is very easily to just think to ourselves, this is a young King Oridan, right? Anytime we've seen Juru in this particular position, he's always been in the position talking to King Oridan or somebody else close to the king or whatever the case may be. This time around, though, I love the fact that we come to find out that this child does go on to become Garza himself. Now, how Juru winds up even connecting with a dream that Garza's currently in, who certainly knows. But if you look at the very beginning of this episode, towards the end of that dream sequence, that same dark fog starts kind of even getting into the dreams, if you will. Almost like there was almost like a little bit of goodness maybe still left in the heart or brain of Garza. And then maybe by the end of this episode, once he actually does acquire his new abilities, maybe that's just a sign that the rest of that dark fog has kind of encompassed sort of his old memories, if you will. Because I love the moment here where we get the opportunity to see him fighting against Juru towards the end of this episode. And he mentions the idea of how he now believes the idea of having power is really the utmost importance, right? Like if you want people to kneel down in front of you, you have to be the most powerful that there certainly is. And that seems to clearly be his direction that he's kind of gone in life. You know, what maybe took him away from that inspiration mode, who certainly knows? But clearly his mindset has certainly changed over the years. So to see somebody like Juru bringing up the idea that you're wrong, Garza, right? Thinking that he was still remembering young King Oridan from the earlier dream in here, talking about the idea, well, you know, your brother believed in the idea of inspiration and that inspiration can kind of cure all and uplift people and things like that. I love just that moment of hesitancy there from Garza, in the sense of not only, clearly I think that moment of hesitancy is clear confusion as to how do you even know I used to believe that type of thing when I was a kid, right? He even asks him at the end of the episode, I don't know how you knew about that sort of those childish dreams that he might have had at one particular point in time. But I almost think that hesitation is not only a mix of confusion, but also maybe a quick, just brief look back on just who he used to be as a kid and where he's kind of come as of now, and had to maybe kind of, pull himself out of going back down memory lane, if you will, now mixed in with some confusion as to how Juru even knew that in the first place. I love that moment. I truly did love that moment. And for me, I think this even harkens back to asking a lot of tough questions about what was the relationship truly like between Garza and King Oridan. Do we only really know one side of the story, right? I mean, we've always kind of seen King Oridan is that creator, as that person to kind of give your inspiration, an artist also. So it seems as though him and his brother definitely had a lot of tight bonds together, things that they clearly admired or did things together. And whenever this sort of break between these brothers wind up happening, whether it came to once Oridan was kind of granted the idea of, hey, you're the next person up to go ahead and have the throne, maybe that's really where it kind of started this trickle effect for Garza to kind of really go down this path of the dark side. I mean, we've clearly seen a sense of jealousy, a sense of Garza believing that he's owed something, if you will. The idea of, the age shouldn't really have, played a part in it whatsoever, right? Like being oh so close to being the one in charge with power on the throne, but to have that taken away from you by your brother, if you will. Maybe that pushed him down a completely different path than what we saw from King Oridan. So for me, I truly need a come to Jesus moment between King Orden and Garza. I really need that moment to happen on screen, and I'm kind of hoping now that Garza does have King Orden captured for himself, setting him up for execution, if you will. I hope we get these tough questions. I hope we get that conversation to see, was King Orden as nice as we think that he is, right? Did he bully his brother at all, right? Is Garza really the one, the outside looking in, or is it as we kind of have come to see it? Garza's always been the asshole, and his brother King Orden's always been trying to do the right thing. So I want to see that moment. I want to see that moment because I do feel as though this does open up a huge box of questions for us, because Juru clearly thought he was talking to King Orden, because this fits what we've come to know from King Orden, not from Garza at all. But now to see this past of Garza, it definitely makes you want to know where he kind of fell off the tracks, if you will. So great twists, great turns, adding more mystery even at episode 42. But I really do feel as though all the questions that I think that we've had in regards to the relationship between King Orden and Garza, along with the relationship for Juru as to how he's even connected to these two the way that he is, and being able to jump into their minds or their dreams or visions, I really do feel that all that will be answered here within the last 3 episodes, because I feel like that's really the only biggest mystery that we kind of still have remaining there. So I'm excited. I love this episode just for the stuff that we wind up getting. And shout out to Golden Garza, man. The upgrade that he winds up getting at the end of this, costume design wise, perfection. Absolutely perfection. I absolutely love the way that it wind up looking. And I even love the idea of him busting out his secret weapon in the, what did he call it? The tornado twist clash or something along those lines. I can't quite remember, but I think that might be it. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, in the comment section box below, though. But I also want to talk just about Garza here for a brief moment, because last week's episode, we saw that Garza wind up saving Tarantula. Tarantula clearly has a job to do for Garza, right? Garza's not going to save you unless he has a reason for you. And that reason is to help him take down Emperor Yodan. It's one of the things that I think we even suggested when we talked about in our episode 41 review, the idea that is he going to use Tarantula to take down Emperor Yodan? Is this a way for him to get the powers all to himself? And it seems as though that's exactly what he winds up doing in here, having Tarantula create a bomb to kind of take down some of Emperor Yodan's mental defenses. And what I thought was brilliant from Garza here is to kind of submit himself to Yodan. The idea of wanting to be sort of that second herald within his subconscious, because we clearly know that Emperor Yodan wind up having Yodana as one of his subconsciousness, and also Shadowne that we wind up seeing several episodes back that was easily defeated. So there is a vacancy. There is a vacancy in Emperor Yodan's head, and Garza certainly wants that position, not just so that he can bring havoc to the world, but to get close enough to Emperor Yodan to where he's able to get his abilities and get his powers. Thus why Yodan is as powerful as she certainly is in her own rights. And Emperor Garza wants a little bit of that action also. So not only does he get his wish, but once he does acquire those abilities, now he's able to take over as the main body, as he's actually sort of vanquished Emperor Yodan. I gotta say, I don't know how I feel about the destruction of Emperor Yodan. I like the idea of him being this presence, but to be honest with you, one of the things that it comes with Garza is I've always wanted Garza to kind of be the main villain for this season, just because of the fact that we have such a personal family drama when it comes to Kiramager, that I feel like there's a little bit more oomph in the idea of Garza being the final boss, where you've got, Emperor Yodan that just kind of forms out of mud. Homeboy doesn't even look like he's got any legs. Like, I just can't even imagine a Megazord battle or anything like that being entertaining, for me at least, right? So the idea of somebody else like Garza coming along, tricking Emperor Yodan into giving up his abilities, taking over his body and things like that, taking control purely, I thought it was a brilliant plan. I just didn't know exactly how I felt initially about the idea of Emperor Yodan, who was kind of built up for something to just kind of be taken away from us briefly. Probably would have liked to have seen a little bit more of him, but again, it doesn't surprise me that somebody like Garza had a plan to take him down all along, because it feels very much like it fits into a scheme and something that I felt like I've been predicting for a while will happen. So pretty cool to actually see it come into fruition here. If I do have a big question though, is that now we've got Garza with the main body, and if I'm not mistaken, Yodana is still part of now his consciousness, so she's still in there also. And maybe there's a chance for a redemption story now, right? Like, we kind of threw away that aspect or that idea last week. You know, one of the things that I said was if there was anybody that I thought was going to have a redemption story, it was going to be Yodana. So it surprised me when I come to find out that it was Carantula. But, you know, like, after watching Carantula in this episode, I'm like, is that really a redemption story? She really just kind of broke away from Emperor Yodan. Yeah, she had a great moment with the Kiramagers in Juru, but in this episode she's still kind of fighting against them, right? I mean, he does do his job in regards to throwing that bomb at Emperor Yodan, messing up his mental defenses, and then he winds up running away, and we clearly see Takamichi winds up grabbing Carantula at the end. But it seems as though he still wants ill will towards the Kiramagers, if you will, right? Like, if it's not Emperor Yodan that's going to take you down, it'll be Garza, and Carantula's perfectly okay with that. So I wouldn't say that's a full redemption story, but more or less the idea of Carantula just getting from under the boot of being controlled by somebody else. Now he can kind of do whatever he certainly wants to, right? So maybe there's still hope for Yodana, and the only reason why I say maybe there's hope for her is because of the fact of a comment that's made in this episode from Tomitomo himself, right? When Shiguru and everybody's kind of picking on Tomitomo about the idea that, you know, you missed out on like your first love, and then Seiyo comes in talking about, you know, do you still have a crush on Priestess Yodana and things like that? And he's like, you know, well, she's not the first person that I've loved, kind of type of thing, right? Clearly, there's still a connection between Tomitomo and Yodana. And honestly, if anybody's going to take down Garza and maybe save Yodana from being trapped inside of Garza, especially after Garza literally just sucker punched her in the face and knocked out a woman, like, you put your hands on a woman, Garza? Tomitomo's coming after you, bro. Like, if he sees Yodana with like a bruise on her face or a scar, you know Tomitomo's going to get concerned and be like, who did that to you? Garza did that to you? And try and fight for this woman's death, you know, try and fight for this woman's freedom, despite the fact of how many times she's tried to kind of take him out. So a part of me is maybe hoping for a Tomitomo and Yodana sort of reconnection here, maybe saving her from the grips of Garza, right? She seems like she's kind of caught in the middle of whatever's going on between Garza and Emperor Yodan also. So we'll see, man. We'll see. But I love what's happening so far. Garza's continuing to show his importance in here. Him taking out the Kiramagers single-handedly, like it was like he didn't break a sweat, was incredible. Him just, you know, knocking away Tomitomo's guns, the one little slashes, he's like blocking shots without even moving his body. Like the guy is ridiculous in regards to his power set, and now he's just become a lot more powerful as Golden Garza. So I'm here for it, man. The twists, the mystery, the turns, the great character relationships, the Garza power-ups. I mean, man, I don't know what else I could ask for in episode 42, but Kiramager once again delivers, ladies and gentlemen. So listen, I hope you guys join us for our last three episodes. I might need to get my tissues ready, guys. But yeah, you guys might need to get your tissues ready. But listen, at the end of the day, I want to know your thoughts in regards to this. These are just my A+ opinions. I want to know yours in the live chat or the comment section box below after this video winds up premiering. And with that out of the way, let me jump over to the live viewer questions from L'Oreal Harris, aka Blossom. Says, man, that episode was intense, wasn't it? Yes, that's a perfect word for it. Talk about intensity. It definitely heightened the stakes for the Kiramagers. You definitely felt like this was kind of their last stand, really going to give all their effort. Clearly, we saw what happened to them, so I'm sure they'll probably have to dust themselves off and come back a little bit stronger. But yeah, it was intense and definitely showcase why. Wasn't it freaky to see Garza's new form or what? I love the transformation. I really do. I think the costume design for him was gorgeous. I love the idea that we have a golden version of Garza on top of his badass already regular outfit that he winds up rocking. But really great form, to be honest with you. And it's funny too, after watching this episode, I did watch this episode twice. I might need to go back and check out what King Orden looks like. But to me, when I watched this episode again, and I went back to the beginning and I saw Kid Garza, I was trying to look at his crystalline face and just his eyebrows, his golden eyebrows, and then when we get to the end of the episode, they actually show an older picture of Garza, because clearly his face is now like a purple or a violet or whatever. But it felt like I was able to also match up his gold eyebrows. So I was like, I can see the crystalline resemblance. But then again, I started thinking to myself, like, actually, I don't even know if I can't remember if Mabushina or King Orden share the same designs for their eyebrows or not, like some of the gold plating and stuff that they have on their face. I'm wondering if that all matches up exactly the same with crystallians, or if those are different, like identifiable sort of markers for them, right? Because for me, when I looked at the kid and I looked at older Garza, I'm like, yep, eyebrows are still the same. So I might have to go back and check it out. But talking about Garza's main form, yeah, I absolutely loved it. You say in the previews for next week, that Phoenix that came out of Juru looked like he had the Phoenix Force Jean Grey once had, huh? Well, I will say this. I didn't fully sit down and watch the previews, but I did see the Phoenix that you were certainly referring to. And I thought I saw like the Kiramentality and the Calamitality of Garza and Juru, like in whatever animal shape or form, like about to collide with one another. So I thought that was a pretty cool looking shot. But yeah, anytime I see the Phoenix, I think of two things. The first one, Jean Grey, and secondly, Dumbledore from Harry Potter, because I believe he had a Phoenix too, if I'm not mistaken. A couple of quick comments. I won't get through all of them, though I'm still getting used to her. It was pretty cool to see Kakihara stick up for my sweet Babu. Yeah, Kakihara was, in fact, back, his fellow high school companion there, the girl that made fun of him very early on in this season. She even came back in a previous episode. I think it might have been for the Valentine's Day themed one, or whatever the case may be. If I'm not mistaken, maybe, was that the date? I can't remember if that was the theme or not, but yeah, she eventually does come around to appreciating and accepting Juru and things like that, especially finding out who he is and whatnot. So clearly building up some sort of friendship that we clearly see that even her other high school friends are making fun of her, thinking that she's got a crush on Juru, which she does. Sorry, Blossom, but she does. But for me, it's cool to kind of see that Juru has somebody that he can kind of connect with. She invited him to the amusement park and things like that, pleading for him to come save her. If you're asking to give Juru any motivation, I think Kakihara definitely is the motivation that he certainly needs. So yeah, I'm excited to see what little of a role she'll certainly play in the remainder of the season. You say, I can't still believe that the little boy Juru saw was Garza. Maybe his jealousy against Orden made him black around the shards, right? I guess, yeah, because of the fact that he wind up getting tainted. Yeah, maybe it was that calamentality that they talk a little bit about, right? That dark energy. Maybe it's that jealousy, that rage that he harbors towards his brother that turns him from that shining and sparkling, Kid Garza that we saw at the very beginning, thinking he was King Orden, just to see what he turns out to be. So yeah, I think whatever it is that happened between him and King Orden, definitely went ahead and did it. And I do think it's because of the fact that, wasn't it King Orden was just slightly older, I believe, so the homeboy gets all the power and things like that. So yeah, I think Garza probably wanted something for himself and it got taken away from him. That sucks, man. That sucks. In a sense, maybe my Juru has his own version of the Phoenix Force through Orden. I might be wrong. Definitely a possibility. I'm curious to see if they're going to showcase exactly how powerful he really is. Juru is, at the end of the day, now that King Orden is in fact captured. So we'll definitely see. But other than that, guys, I think that's probably going to go ahead and do it for us here today. So thank you very much for joining us for our Kiramager reviews and breakdowns, as always, for episode number 42. And hopefully we'll certainly see you guys back again next Tuesday as well. And of course, this Saturday, going live every Saturday at noon Central Time, where we wrap up this week's Power Rangers and Tokusatsu news for you guys. So definitely join us then. But until next time, do me a big favor. If you haven't followed us on social media, you can do so right here at APlus Opinions. Very active over on our Facebook page as well as Twitter. And you can also check us out on Instagram as well as Twitch for you gamers. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to us yet, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification. And as always, give us that big thumbs up if you love our content that we dish out on a weekly basis for you guys. And we will be doing Zenkaiger reviews for you guys also once Kiramager winds up wrapping up. So do me a big favor, guys. Until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and as always, keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Kirame change!